Hello. Welcome to the light stream. It's been a minute. I hope everybody's doing well. And if you are just tuning in for the first time, I want to go ahead and take this time to just say if you are watching on my regular Facebook page or on any of the other platforms I upload to, go ahead and take the time to go follow the 5XL. There's so much happening there, and it's really in lieu of the message that I'm going to be bringing today, is just showing so evident in the growth that this platform is taking on. It's everywhere at this point. We're everywhere at this point. There's so much going on, plus tax. And even again, before I get into the actual message of today and getting into the light stream itself, I want to just have a moment of silence for those that are going through it right now. We're all very aware of the travesty that's going on in Ukraine and how the world is just sort of on pause, waiting to see what happens next. We don't want to use the term World War III, but let's just, keep marching toward what's going on in the relative reality. But again, before we get into that, I'm just going to give a moment of silence for those being affected by this. All right. Now, with that said, I do also want to just say I am happy to be back. It's been about 2 months of what was supposed to be 1 month hiatus. A lot of just mental health and just getting myself composed. There was just a lot happening in my own personal realm. Again, all in lieu of everything I'm going to be talking about today: planetary alignment, what's going on, celestially, the vibrations that have been and are going to be, in contrast to what we've already kind of undergone, this huge transformation, the awakening of the age of Aquarius within ourselves, the connectedness, the breaking of the illusions. It's all sort of at the forefront and the helm. So we've been coming into this age of Aquarius for quite some time, and it used to be you were, I guess, considered like out of the loop if you didn't know, but now it's just very common knowledge. We all talk about energy. We all talk about, vibration freely. What's that person's vibe like, or I don't feel their energy, or so it's very commonplace today. But I'd say about 5 years ago, whenever you had a conversation concerning, manifestation or, new age energetics and stuff like that, it was almost like you were doing it undercover. Like, I remember talking to people like, hey, do you know about this energy stuff? And they'd be like, no, what are you talking about? Get away from me. You're weird. So it's really awesome to see that this connection and connectivity that's happening on the world platform and is just happening and blossoming, and it's so much easier to talk about now than it was then. There's so much gratitude in that. Again, breaking the illusion of energy doesn't exist. You kind of are where you are. The "it is what it is" mindset can get us all kind of caught up in. And I'm probably not making sense yet to some of you, but to those that I am, you've kind of already undergone that transformation and went through the hermit's path to let life open up to you. Sorry, my dogs are barking. So that has sort of really come into play these last few months. Everything that we were positioning ourselves for and answering to that call, so to speak, and that inner dialogue, and this is where it's going to start making sense, and that inner dialogue as to what we have been called into this life to do. Unfortunately, for some people, it was to stir the pot and bring about chaos and destruction. And yeah, that's a life journey, and not to justify the actions of anybody, because there's also the parallel to that and the opposed to that, which we've also been called. There's people who come into this life to really be light workers just as much as there's instruments of darkness. And I don't want to contrast it with the good guys versus the bad guys. It's more a contrast of the attached versus the enlightened. There are people who are very attached to power, and power in life, like the living power. And then there are people who are detached from ego and financial, power and basically control. Like, the ego is all about, I need to have control of XYZ. So with this whole age of Aquarius, we are moving out of that need to be in control of our finances, in control of our emotions, in control of, our relationships, our health, our well-being. And you'll see that deep contrast, because there's in every house that I just described, there's a certain person who is so hands-on and completely their own world that they can't let go. And if you can't let go and detach from something, well, what's going to come is the contrast to that. It's going to bring about that which you don't desire, which is the bad feelings and the remorse, the regret, the hurt, the hate. You know what I mean? If you've ever watched Star Wars, it's very much like the Jedi, whatever, But it's all rooted in this very real philosophy of duality, ego versus detachment, or ego versus attachment. And so we're seeing that play out on this world stage right now. Everything happening in Ukraine is all about ego and attachment, or, enlightenment and attachment, which is also ego. So on a world platform, we're also seeing the leader of Ukraine just saying what's best for the people isn't the need for more power or more control, and the way it's all playing out is very much, that ability to transcend attachment to what you have for the betterment of your people. And then if you bring it down into the smaller scale, what's better for you and your family is not rooted in what your attachments are to success. So if your family's got a roof over their head, great. If you got food on the table, great. But in the event of, I'm not really living my life with them, but more for them, and I've become so attached to the things that I need, to the point where I'm no longer participating here in the phenomenon, the miracle that is life, because I'm so attached to Jordans, because I'm so attached to, eating out and being at the best restaurants and, doing, there's nothing wrong with that, but it becomes an issue when you start compromising your humanity for it, So again, to see it all playing out on the grand scale, and then in the micro scale, we are all, being called and risen to say, hey, this is what we see. That's that breaking of the illusion that's happening. This is the age of Aquarius. We are that connectedness. One thing that I'm seeing is that there's nothing hidden around the world. Is there classified information? Yeah. But as far as what's happening in real time, there's always somebody with a phone that is just, feeding it into the cloud, so it's like we've now reached this, unison in having awareness as a planet. And I don't know if it's really seeped into the collective's consciousness that that is where we've come. That we can check on friends who are in Russia, or we can check on friends who are in China, because we've made those friends along the way in this journey of connectedness, which I'm speaking personally. You know, I have friends in China, I have friends in Russia, and it's scary, you know. And in my own small little world here, it's been scary. There's been, you know, close calls with COVID with loved ones that was another reason why I kind of had to step away and really just be there in life, you know, and at the same time answer my call to what needs to be done. But again, I can't, if I'm being here preaching every week, you know, to go participate in life, yet those I care for are suffering, but I have to be here, you know, then I'm not practicing what I preach, and I'm not being authentic. And I think that's probably something that a lot of us who go into this have to make the decision of at some point, is when am I forcing the authenticity versus when is it just coming naturally. So now I feel like this is a time where it can come naturally again. January and February have been very transformative. And I don't know if you guys have also been going through that little rabbit hole, but it's almost as if it's not a falling, but an ascending. So there's been an ascension of this taking on the new mantle of what it really means to be an empath, an enlightened being, a light worker. Because now it's requiring quite a bit of work, light work, to be out there and still claim that for yourself. It's never been sending, you know, positive thoughts or positive prayers. It's been more along the lines of, am I acting in a way that's building that interconnectedness with me and my fellow man? Am I doing everything in my power to make sure that me and my family are participating in the real reality, and we're not being lost to mindlessness or unaware? Or am I leaving my family to live a life unaware? These are all things that we should be asking ourselves as we march forward toward that call. Now, that call is different in each and every one of us. There's no two that is the same. It's motherhood, it's friendship, it's building a new business, it's building a new empire, it's unfortunately also what other people are doing to perpetuate that need for attachment and control. So again, this is all just a preface. I love you too, cousin. uh, and my cousin Jason, I just read a comment from him. I love you too. So it's all what we're doing to not perpetuate that need for control. It's perpetuating that need for ascension. I want to do better tomorrow and the next day. And I want to show not them, but myself, who I can really ascend into. So again, I know it's been a minute, but the groundwork's been laid. I mean, he's coming back to you. I'm talking to myself in the third person, but I'm coming back to you, you know, really having went through that ascension. I won a lawsuit against a lawyer that I was in, you know, I had to be there for that. I'm now patent pending on an idea that I'm about to launch, so more on that soon. And there's just a lot more ease going back into this, that I can, you know, more freely just have that access to enlightenment and give you the real message versus I need to do this or I'm going to lose it. So, and these are all things we struggle with. You know, it's not just me being here. It could be your job, your 9 to 5. It could be even just being there. If you're in a relationship that's, you know, has toxic tendencies, and I hate saying toxic people, but we do have toxic tendencies. So again, it's just, what am I doing and why do I need to be in so much control? That's going to be a highlighting question for ourselves throughout the week. All that being said, let's get into this planetary alignment and see where we're at as far as the planets go. It's a good time today to expose yourself. And again, if you are dealing with if you are dealing with the contrast of attachment versus enlightenment, talk candidly with somebody that you trust, somebody that's close to you. And for some of us, that may even be our kids, because we don't really have too many people that we consider close to us. That may be, a friend of a friend who isn't part of your main social circle that you could just talk candidly up to and say, I'm having issues letting go of this. There's something that I'm resenting about this life that I'm living, and I need to get out. So it may not even be the situation you need to get out of, but it's those habits. How are you dealing with these, throes of emotions that we're all going through? Because it's very transformative. So don't be the victim. Don't sit in, paralyzed thought of, I'm never gonna get there, or there is no there. Attachment says I'm never going to get there, but the reality is there is no there. There's only what you're doing today and what you're doing the next day. And that's even planning a little further into it than you have to. What can you do today? So expose yourself to somebody today. If you can do that. That's kind of like my first set of homework for everybody. We are sitting in the last lumination. Today and tomorrow will be the last lumination before we hit that deep dark new moon. So it's a good time for saging. It's a good time for just meditation, writing down a list of letting go, and also a list of what you plan to aspire to. Just putting your thoughts on paper is so powerful. Even typing it up, but writing it down, because paper's rooted. It used to be a tree. Save the planet still. But if you can find a piece of scratch paper, write down your stuff, because it's very powerful. Then do some kind of rooting ritual and speak it out to the universe. Don't think it, speak it. It's very powerful stuff. So that's over the next 2 days. And then we hit that new moon in Pisces. And that will come on, that will be on Friday? No, I'm in April. Wednesday we will be in the new moon in Pisces. So Capricorn is, one more thing on that new moon in Pisces in 2 days, is going to be empathy. Which is so funny, because I was just talking about that earlier when I was making TikTok. Empathy is so powerful. Yes. It's good to be there for somebody without the need for anything in return. But this is my inner cynic and my Capricorn sun that is telling you, don't throw yourself in front of a bus that nobody's driving. That's the illustration. What I mean by that is, if somebody's not going out of their way to show accountability and is continually showing you that they need you to function, it's no longer empathy. It's codependency. And you've become an addict as well at that point. Because you're addicted to helping them. You're addicted to telling people that you're helping them. You're addicted to how good it feels to be helping them. So again, no more illusions. Don't lie to yourself. Are you really helping them? Or are you helping them because it makes you feel good? There's two stark differences there. That's still kind of giving you the M&M factory version of it. Are you getting high off of helping people? Are you kids getting high on helping people? It's bad. You got to really start drawing those boundaries. We have one more week with Venus and Mars in Capricorn. And it's direct energy. Mars is masculine, conquering. Venus is Venus. No. Venus is like nurturing and proactive. So you have all of this rooted in a sign that one instigates, propagates, and is all about what are you actually doing? What do you have to show for your conquering spirit right now? What do you have to show for all that nurturing you've been doing? It's time to show your report card. You know what I mean? That's Capricorn. It's fatherly energy. It's also demands growth through discipline. It's karma. And how funny that Mars and Venus, the masculine and the feminine, are both sitting in that cardinal sign right now. It's creation and chaos. And look at the world right now. You know, it's something to definitely contemplate. If you can reach that point where it doesn't affect you and doesn't cause you grief and doesn't invalidate the suffering that's taking place right now. Because that's not my intention at all. I'm just passing along information. Mercury in Aquarius, which is probably my inspiration for getting back on here today. So communication right now needs to be elevated. Again, I'm always talking about raising the bar, but right now it's raising the bar as far as what are you talking about? There's no time today for little talk. Actually, it's for the next week through March 9th. You can't be talking about little things, the weather, small talk is going to just be exceedingly boring. You need to be having that ascended speech happening, that ascended dialogue, talking about, and everybody cares about what's happening right now. Everybody's very much emotionally entangled. Not to pull a Jada Pinkett on you guys, but everybody's emotionally entangled into what we're seeing, on our media via our little pocket devices. So again, do something creative with that energy. Don't just sit there and scream it's raining. Go and make an umbrella. Go do something within your community that's going to have some purpose. I think one of the people I was talking to this week was just telling me that, this was happening and that was happening. And there was so much going on. But we flipped it and we made it to where she's like, yeah, all this is happening against me, but all this is happening for me. So again, we are tumbling. We're tumbling right now the same way that stones get tumbled to shine. We have to have this discourse as human beings, because we don't reside in heaven. We don't reside in hell. We're in this fine medium between. And so our thoughts occupy divine and demonic. And that may be a little realer than some of you need to hear it now, but you are both sides of that coin. And you have to strive every day to not be too in the light or too in the dark. because you're from both. Again, this conversation. Or higher aspirations for business. Like I was saying, I have this idea that's finally at the forefront, so I have to have all these conversations this week to find my people that are going to bring it here into reality, and that's happening this week. So again, these conversations need to stimulate what we're excited about this week. It can't be, don't find yourself in discourse that doesn't have solutions. I think that's the best way to wrap it up. And as far as Venus and Mars and Capricorn, you have one more week to do something truly inspiring to raise the ground on which you stand. So do that, because I know you're sitting on something that might be life-changing. So do it. Do it, do it, do it. It's Pisces season. There's not much to say there. No, just kidding. So to all my Piscean brothers and sisters, in-betweeners, I just want you guys to know that I love you, and happy birthday to all of you. My brother is a Pisces. My mother was a Pisces. It's just, you're either the follower fish or the leading fish. You're sometimes an alternating between both. But essentially, you'll find that while the sun is in Pisces and dictating all of us, because where the sun is aligned has an influence on where you are, you get to choose. Are you going to go with the flow and follow the crowd? Or are you going to swim against the current and lead them to better water? Again, these are just illustrations that are just coming to me, so it's something I just wanted to throw out there. We'll be there for the next 3 weeks. This is all culminating at the end of the next 2 weeks. So we'll be heading into a full moon in Virgo. It's going to be very healing. You'll find that finance becomes much more of an easier thing to talk about. Right now, under very restrictive Capricorn, like I said, sitting in that, Mars and Venus is very restrictive. It says, what are you willing to do to survive? And how are you going to elevate your situation? When we hit that full moon in Virgo, you'll know that answer. And it will be crystalline, that answer. Today's card, which is just, this is me wrapping it up. The Seeds of Mantika. Seeing potential. Bringing unconsciousness to light. So, again, it's whatever you are brewing, bring it to the front. Bring it into reality. You have all of this celestial energy that is bubbling under your boiling pot. And damn, is it smelling good. So I just want you to look at this card. And that beautiful crystalline water, those are the answers that you've been seeking. The connections you've been waiting to make. That is your unconsciousness being brought to the light. And when we think of unconsciousness, it's a type of sleep. But we're done sleeping. We're fully awake. We are walking into the next era in this age of Aquarius, where illusion has no power. Nothing can be hidden by great power, government, church, state. Even as we speak, we know more about the universe and the stars than we ever have. Your girl looks at her phone and turns her shoulder to you. You know why. There's no illusions. There's no reason for hiding, anyways. Be real. Tell him that you're talking to somebody else. No. Then ask him, "Are you mad?" No, I'm just kidding. That's gaslighting. Don't do that. Oh my goodness. It's such a beautiful day today. And I'm gonna go quiet for just a moment. I'm gonna let whoever's watching just sort of illuminate in their own mind what this card means to them. The Sea of Mantika. Beautiful card. So now we're going to get into today's daily overview. And again, these energies are going to be kind of permeating not just today, but it would have been the past 3 days or the next 3 days that you can kind of look for this somewhere in the grander schemes of the world that's relative to you. Emotional intensity is going on today. That's kind of speaks for itself. This is a very charged time, especially between masculine and feminine extremes. You may be feeling the need to be comforted when the world is kind of having its finger pointed down at you, and vice versa. You may be pointing the finger down on somebody who's looking for that nurture. So this may cause a rise, and you will need to speak how you feel. It's mutual ground, so right now, if you need to shout it out, do it. It's perfect prime time for it. Which leads us into new discoveries. By shouting it out, you may find out things that you did not know before about that person. Now, new discoveries is also very much the explorer within us all. Not the colonial in us all, but the explorer. Put yourself in new waters. You have this way of doing things and it works for you, great. Throw something else in the mix that's not something that you do every day. That's all you have to do. It doesn't have to be exercise or dieting, reading a book. It doesn't even have to be anything like, just throw something extra in there to mix it up. And you'll be surprised at how much more refreshing your routine becomes by adding a cup of tea with what you're usually doing. Small. Start small. Strive to be yourself. In this sea of assimilation, and if you're not with us, you're against us, which is, the wrath of the internet can be sometimes. This is very true right now. And remember that your individuality is yours. And albeit some people have a, forgive me, shitty personality, it's theirs. So, again, individualism. But again, challenge yourself to open to a new paradigm. Again, that age of Aquarius is upon us. So if you're hiding all of these toxic behaviors, you're not hiding it anymore. It's evident. You're following certain pages, you're subscribed to certain accounts. It's going to eventually foam up through your mouth. So again, open up your mind and see the broader spectrum of what's being provided to you, labeled information. So that way you can continue, and that's striving to be yourself in the face of all this information that comes to us. popularity is also out there, so it's the time to go and visit and, you know, show yourself. Again, exposing yourself is very much in the healthy expression of life right now. So the one thing that I will say have awareness for is being so open that you may be being taken advantage of. There's also something to be said about taking advantage of somebody who's just so open. If you're perpetuating that codependency within your relationships, and it's not just people, I never say it's just people. This is codependency with your relationship with food. This is codependency with your relationship with money, with substances, even, video gaming, what have you. You really check yourself right now with this last week of Capricorn energy and ascend beyond that which you're using to get by. And I hope that makes sense. Be the loving soul, but don't be so loving that anything and anybody can plug into you and deplete that love. It's hard earned, so it should be hard given. It's just my own opinion. From the moon transits, we're going through, again, emotional sensitivity, but again, it's the time for it. If you're feeling a certain way, don't be afraid to express that. And I don't think you will, because we're also going through tonight a strong sense of will. You'll have that inner strength to say, this is what I'm actually feeling. And you're not just doing it for yourself. The other parties owed that as well. Break down the illusions. Stop faking it till you make it. Make it. And be selfless. Without throwing yourself in front of that bus with no driver. If somebody is in need and is slipping and needs you and just needs an ear, you may be doing something that has no benefit to you, but is going to make all the world a difference to them. So do that for them. It's a perfect day for it. All right. So with all that being said, glad to be back. So excited for everything that's happening on these next few weeks. It's definitely on that next level that I love to be collaborating with. That's why I'm broadcasting here on the 5XL, because it's all about that next level and higher vibrations. My soul family here in Vegas, you all know who you are. To my blood family, thank you guys all for your encouragement lately. And to my close circle of friends, thank you guys for all your support. And I will catch you guys next week, and it will probably be much more involved in this. All right. Have a good one. And be blessed, y'all.